What's up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I hope you guys are doing well. Um, what a week it's been, hasn't it? And maybe this podcast will give you guys some positive feelings for what's been going on. So I'm your host, Harpie Player Joe, and welcome to the week of February uh, 19th. And oh Jesus, the music is loud. Let me turn it down just a bit. Um, February 19th of 2025. This is session 13 of the HPJ Podcast, and I'm your host, Harpie Player Joe. So we got a couple of things to talk about today that I definitely wanted to express my feelings and opinions on. There's also been a lot of stuff going on with me personally, so I definitely wanted to just put a little bit of that going into it. So the first thing to let you guys know is I'm doing okay after my COVID situation. My body started to bounce back, which is good. And I've been hydrating. I've been, if I need some medication, I got some. I don't have my little scratchy throat situation anymore, which is really good. And the heat wave is definitely not helped too much with my heat situation, but I'm definitely doing okay there. As far as everything else goes, my therapy sessions are doing okay, and actually we're going to start wrapping up therapy sessions soon. My therapist did ask me that I want to seek out additional therapy just in case they decide to go ahead and go into, a more different route with the therapy. And I said, sure. If that does help, then I will go for it. But I am enjoying the sessions because I think we're probably reaching our 20 session mark, which is understandable because I don't want to go into my pocket so I have to pay for the therapy. So if looking for outside therapy can help, then go for it because I still have a lot of issues and I'm very open and vocal about those issues. Has a lot of things changed over the last couple of sessions? Yeah, things have definitely changed. I'm sorry. The music keeps cutting out because I keep getting notifications from Twitch about things, so I do apologize for that. I need to make my notifications for things a lot easier. Hold on, let me find my notifications. While I'm doing that, I can continue to talk to you guys. So, what other things has been going on besides that? So that's kind of like my mental and my physical things out the way. If you guys know any way of just looking for a good therapist, please let me know, and I'll definitely look into it. More so in the Northern California area, because that's where I live. So, yeah, that's that thing. Okay, announcing. No. Because I don't need every announcement on. Or it is it just easier to announce notifications? There we go. We can just turn those off. Okay. And then it's just those things of where we will have the situation, where I'll be handling my therapy from there will be good. And if I don't need it, I'll stop. And then if I do need it again, I'll go back to it. So it's always that good notification of knowing that you have access to something, and it's available to you. So that's, a good portion of things there. Then there's, what else is there to talk about? Let's go through Sonic since we got some Sonic music coming up on the playlist. Our Big Blue not only just celebrated the anniversary of Sonic Adventure and of course Sonic, the Sega Dreamcast. There is more talks about what's been going on with the Big Blue since the Sonic Racing Cross Worlds demo has been out. So people have already gotten their backers built, not their backers, but they've gotten their copy of it to do the reviews and everything. And our boy Sonic is hitting good numbers this year, y'all. 9.5, 8.5. I think I recently just seen IGN giving praise to our boy Sonic. Hold on, I'm going to switch to Sonic music now because it's time to talk about the Big Blue. And I ain't wasting no time talking about the Big Blue. Hold on one second because We're gonna do this right. We're gonna do this right. Where's my Rouge music? Here we go. Alright, so it's time to talk about the Big Blue. So our boy Sonic, we love him, we know him, we cherish him. Sonic Racing Crossroads is doing extremely well in terms of people getting their review copies and starting to do their reviews. Many people are going crazy over these rival interactions with the Sonic characters during the main story. A lot of them are just hilarious. A lot of them are very cutthroat, that you would not expect your Sonic characters to, throw shade. But they are throwing the whole damn palm tree at each other while wearing the sunglasses. So it's very hilarious. It's very cool to see this level of rivalry between characters. And some you never thought would have one. And even in some of them, there's a lot of respect. Sage and Shadow, Omega in some cases, especially Omega and Shadow. He wants to just blow up Eggman, which is hilarious, but so real, so true. And, just a lot of the interactions with characters. I can't wait to see what the DLC brings and how the DLC characters are going to interact with some of the main cast. So that's going to be really cool to see. In addition to that, they said the levels look amazing. The music's are bops. There's so much there going on. I cannot wait for this game. Unfortunately, I will just have to buy the regular version and then later on buy the DLC, because the game, I think itself is like it's $60 USD. So it is a stretch. But I am going to try to consider it, maybe. I don't know. It could be a mid-October purchase. Like, I'm going to probably mid-October purchase Pac-Man, because Pac-Man's coming out pretty soon, too. And shout-outs to Pac-Man for redoing Pac-Man World 1 and Pac-Man World 2. I got into the big Pac-Man games since Pac-Man World 2. Don't worry, I did know about the Pac-Man games, because I did play Pac-Man for the arcade, and then I think Miss Pac-Man as well, which Miss Pac-Man was just Pac-Man with a bow. So, different level designs, but still the same Pac-Man black and fun. And shout outs to Pac-Man, because Pac-Man, you've been doing your thing for almost 4 decades too? So you and Mario have been out for a good 4 decades? I know Pac-Man's older than Sonic. And I think Mega Man is also older than Sonic too. But how old is... I want to say Mega Man is 37. Pac-Man is almost in his 40s. Because I think Pac-Man is older than Mario. Yeah, Pac-Man is older than Mario, because I think Bandai Namco were doing their thing with Pac-Man because of the arcades. And then Nintendo jumped on the arcade stuff later. And then that's how we got Donkey Kong, the Donkey Kong game that introduced, the Jumpman. And then Jumpman became Mario. So, that's that longevity there. But a lot of people are praising this game over Mario Kart World because, the issues that are going on with Mario Kart World. If you don't know, a lot of people didn't hate the game. They just don't like the price tag. And then with the last Direct, we didn't get any big news for Mario Kart World. We just got the whole, here's Mario Kart World characters in their own respective games. Like DK Bonanza is getting DLC. And so was Samus. Well, Samus was getting an amiibo. And then there was the whole thing going on with Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. So it's just like, you're not going to announce anything? Just going to keep us in the dark, huh? Alright. So, me personally, I still not picked up a Switch 2. I have no interest in picking up a Switch 2. If I wanted to pick up a Switch 2, I will probably pick it up maybe in a couple of months, but not currently right now. But then there's also like other things I don't want to pick up, like a new phone. I definitely want to pick up some new additions and stuff. So I wouldn't even say, why don't I just go ahead and shell out the money to just start doing a payment plan for a new phone. And I'm actually quite thinking about that as well. But there's also something else I have to do some payment plans to, and that's my dental work. So to let you guys know about that, just for a quick breakthrough, Next week on the 23rd, I will be going to the dentist to do another evaluation of my teeth. Picking out a dentist then, and then we're going to schedule our appointment to try to start doing some work on my teeth. I need some root canals. I need, I have my, it's not a voucher. I have my, what is that thing they call it? Referral to do the work on my teeth and everything. So they're going to be trying to. I'm gonna show them the referral. They want to do their own consultation, but it's like 4 or 5 of the doctors are actually in the same building. So I told them, I don't know which doctor I get, but like what dentist I get, but I call them doctor. I mean, they technically are a doctor. They have a doctorate in dental work, so why not call them what they worked hard for, a doctor? I mean, they're a dentist, yes, so still same thing. Just one works with teeth, one works with the whole body. So yeah, with that whole thing going on, that's gonna be on a Tuesday. That Tuesday, yes, Tuesday, and then I'll be trying to get my dental stuff situated then. From there, we're then gonna work on trying to get everything else situated before the 13th, because I have an appointment back at Western Dental for the 13th, so they can do the deep cleaning and to do for me to see the gum hygienist or the teeth hygienist to basically go over things that I need to do for my teeth. Which, sorry, I haven't been to the dentist because things like this, my dentist stuff shouldn't be expensive. And if we talk about healthcare, dental care and healthcare should be in one plan, not two separate things. Because if dental work is just as important as, the work you get for your teeth, then they all should be in the same thing. And so should vision. We shouldn't have this many different doctors, to focus on this many different things. But when we do, we shouldn't, negate things because of things going on. Like give us a plan that covers all three, not just a plan for each one. It's ridiculous. So, that's going to be I'm dealing with that, and then I'm also going to be dealing with some other things as well. So that's just like a brief history. Not even brief history, just a good explanation of things going on. Now, back to our boy Sonic and the things going on with Sonic. Sonic Cross Worlds is doing exceptionally well. I'm going to be looking into that as well as Pac-Man. For many of those who don't know, Pac-Man and Sonic are going to have some DLC crossovers between each other. Word on the street is Mega Man's going to be making an appearance sometime as well. Which is good, because Mega Man didn't die. It's just Mega Man just has, unfortunate situation with Capcom. And how Capcom and them treat Mega Man. So, I'm looking forward to whatever it is. Because I think it's, DLC? I don't know if it's a spoiler, so don't quote me on it, but Pac-Man Sonic crossover for the racing game? Which, that sounds like fun. But if it's not true, then even still, I hope we do get some Pac-Man stuff. Especially because of how hard Pac-Man fans go for Pac-Man. Then, let's move over to... Okay, so we already talked about Mario. I've talked enough about that, about the plumber. There's just basically a lot of Nintendo stuff going on and people just don't like it. That's nothing new. Then from there, I wanted to talk about Pokemon for a minute. Precisely because of the fact... You guys know I love me some Pokemon, and I was, not too happy recently with a Gen 3 situation from Brain Scratch Combs. If you guys know, as much as I respect Ryan, Ted, Lewis, and Johnny when it comes to the things they do for Brain Scratch, I was not happy to hear how they're dealing with Gen 3. They're basically going to ignore Hoenn. And I don't understand why, because you didn't ignore Gen 7, you didn't ignore Gen 4, which too much of Ted's dismay of hating Gen 4. They actually took a different approach with Gen 4. They did an all EV team run of Gen 4. So it was EV's evolution up until Gen 4. No, within Gen 4. And then taking that team to take on the Elite Four and the champion and everything. So it was basically EV's evolutions of Umbreon. I forget what the team was. The team comp was covering your bases and having the other evolutions of Eevee to cover those bases. So everything pre-Sylveon. So Jolteon, Vaporeon, Flareon, Umbreon, Espeon, Glaceon, and Leafeon. And I mean, you can really cover some bases there dealing with a lot of Pokemon types. My ultimate team, if I were just to run a pure Eevee team, not gonna lie, would be Umbreon, Espeon. So you have Psychic and Dark. Then you'll probably have maybe coverage between Jolteon, Flareon. Yeah, I have to leave out Glaceon because Vaporeon can easily cover Ice type, and what Ice needs to cover, which is Ice Beam or Aurora Beam on Vaporeon, and having to cover against Dragon type. Because Dragon would be the one issue you have with a team that doesn't have access to Sylveon. Because then I'd probably maybe switch out Sylveon for Espeon. Jolteon is there to cover Flying type, Ground type, no, Flying type, Water type, and cover whatever Leafeon can't cover. Leafeon is covering everything that would hurt both Glaceon, I mean not Glaceon, well Glaceon too, but Leafeon covers water weakness, ground weakness, rock weakness, in that sense. Flareon covers steel, covers grass, covers ice, and deals with a neutral fire, because you can just add flash fire and absorb the damage. Then Jolteon, I said Jolteon, Vaporeon is dealing with what? Ground, rock, fire, that whole lineup of things. So you're not too worried about the lineups there with them. So I was just like, okay, that's not bad. Like, there's a lot of coverage there. You know, Umbreon to deal with the ghost types. So you're going to be able to deal with Gengars and stuff, hitting you with Shadow Balls and all of that. You'll be able to take out other psychic types. Espeon is for the poisons, the fightings, to cover Umbreon's weakness as well. So it's going to be a lot of really cool dealing with things and dealing with a lot of the Pokemon that you normally couldn't. And then just for those in-betweens, I mean, there are a lot of them that still have dual typing and dual weakness. So you'll be able to deal with them. The only thing you probably won't be able to cover is maybe electric, but most of them can learn dig. So, yeah. And when I heard Brain Scratch basically say they would get bored trying to do the Gen 4 stuff, I'm like, nah, you guys should do the Gen 4 stuff. Go do Gen 4. If not doing Gen 3. Go do Gen 3 because people love Gen 3. Your audience loves Gen 3. I don't think you guys would really get bored if maybe you do Omega Ruby and Sapphire. Maybe that's the suggestion I should bring instead of just saying, well, if you're not going to do Gen 3, then just don't talk negative about Gen 3. Because what is the issue that you have with Gen 3? Are you going to talk about how the comparisons it has to Kanto? Well, you did 2 versions of Kanto. You didn't really do a full thing of Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu because Ted did do 3 sessions and then cut out after session 3. And then there at that point, there was live streams on Brain Scratch to do the Heart Gold Soul Silver stuff. So you did basically 2 setups of remakes before Chuck screwed over Ted's entire team in Heart Gold Soul Silver. So this is what happens when you do Nuzlocke. And at that point, I'm like, well, you did Gen 2's remake, you did Gen 1's remake, Gen 1's other remake, you did Platinum, you moved on to Gen 5, you did Gen 7, so what's left? Actual Gen 3 with Hoenn, you can do Emerald or you can do Orc. Gen 6, you have no choice but to do Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I think they did Um, well, there is X and Y. And then I think did they not do Legends Arceus? I think they did do Legends Arceus, so there should really be no excuse to why. There's probably things you guys never knew about Gen 3. Now, if the issue is you don't know who's going to record Gen 3, then fine. That makes sense too. But I thought with how hypocritical of things Lewis is, Lewis would have been the one to do Gen 3. You know, but then the last time Lewis did a Pokemon game, it took forever, and then Johnny had to take over because Lewis was taking too long, even getting to Misty. So maybe at that point, maybe Ryan already did them, so maybe Ted should do Gen 3, because I think if Ted doing Gen 3 would be easy because he can take a couple of sessions, record it. You have to cut out the fluff, and then anything that isn't an evolution that's going to be off screen and just tag it in. So maybe, because when was the last time Johnny did a thing for Brain Scratch? His words, not mine. He said it's been a while, so I don't expect him to do Gen 3, and considering the fact that Matt said he was going to do Gen 3 for Hoenn region, I didn't expect to see Johnny want to pitch in for Gen 3 for Hoenn. And considering he did a review of Hoenn as well, and he said most of his team, well, from what he showed us in the review, half his team was literally Kanto Pokemon. It was Alakazam, Gyarados, and I forget what the other Kanto Pokemon was. I think it was Kanto. I think it was Skarmory from Gen 2. So that really just tells you there that the other half was nothing but Pokemon from Gen 3, which was Blaziken, who he started with. I think a Breloom. No, it was a Gen 3, it was a Gen 1 Pokemon. He had a Vileplume on his team to cover Grass and Poison. So it was Gyarados, Alakazam, and Vileplume, and then the other 3 Pokemon were all Gen 3, with the exception of the Gen 1 Pokemon being Skarmory. Gen 2 Pokemon being Skarmory, who he had the team. Which, to be fair, let's be real, Skarmory on your team was boss. Because Skarmory is really good in Gen 3. And that's why I think they should take a chance of Gen 3. Because Gen 3, while yes, it's just a weird swap over of Gen 1, you're on a giant island that has small islands attached to it. And while yes, the next portion of the game, the last portion of the game is going to be in the water, you'll still have access to that land and the things going on land. And I think it'll be a really good thing to look into it. Now, why I suggested Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire was simply because the variety of Pokemon will be included. Of course, you'll have the physical special split. You'll have the addition of Fairy type. You'll have the additional Pokemon. But something that I learned from O Creations and from, I forget I think it's Roy. Because I follow Roy and I follow O Creations. And they do, fixing Pokemon teams that they were to set for a hard mode. And the one thing that I learned from both of them was that there were additional content added into Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. What was that additional content? A bit of the National Dex. Once you beat Wallace and you get your Rain Badge, he'll tell you to go to Professor Birch and talk to him in case you want to train for the before. He has this big thing that he's worked on. The big thing is the National Dex, where some of the Pokemon from the National Dex will be able to be found with your Dex Nav. That's the little feature that you have in your Pokedex that shows you which Pokemon are in the area. If you caught all the Pokemon in the area, a golden crown with the Pokemon symbol will be at the bottom right-hand corner of it, telling you that you've seen all the Pokemon in this area. And that includes the hidden Pokemon. So what you could go and do is search out for some Pokemon that are hidden in the area, and that can actually make your team a lot better, and even train up some of your team. Because remember, the Dex Nav also allows you to find Pokemon with hidden abilities, Pokemon that had better stats, even shiny Pokemon. So, I think that would be a good addition to try out, and maybe even give that a hand or two. Because I personally think it would. I personally think it would be a great addition just to have all of that as a, access point. So, Forgive me if I'm wrong for saying this, but I think Brain Scratch trying to ditch out on Gen 3 is a cop-out. Please go play Gen 3. It's not that bad as you may think it is, because I've replayed Gen 3 actually recently, and I had a lot of fun replaying Gen 3. I did play Emerald, which was the more definitive version, but then Omega Ruby Sapphire is even more definitive than that. And with the celebration of the 15 years of Emerald version, 15 years, and 20 for Ruby and Sapphire. Please go play those games. Give those games the same love you gave the other generations, even though we know you guys somehow have a hate boner for Gen 4. No, we're not letting that go, Ted. Then from there, I am talking about O Creations. O Creations, I did want to talk to you about Glacier's team. So O Creations released a video at the time of recording where he talked about refixing the teams of the Elite Four and Champion for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And what he used was, like I said, the Dex Nav. The upgrade to Dex Nav to include more Pokemon from different regions. And according to him, the hardest team he had to redo, which I agree, was Glacia, the Ice Specialist. Now, there were some theories about Glacia that had come up in some of the hard dives for Gen 3. Because, as many of you know, there was some Pokemon leaks a few years ago, and Generation 3 it's been going through its leakage, where there was some conversations about Gym Leader order and Pokemon setup, where Glacia, the the Elite Four member of the Hoenn region, the one that specializes in ice, she has the hardest team composition because Madame Glacia, who is from the Hoenn region, only runs the 2 regional ice lines in the game. I mean, this is kind of worse than Phoebe, because Phoebe at least had 3 lines. She had, access to Sableye, Bayonet, and Dusclops. Although, yes, there were pure ghosts, and here's dual ghosts, she still had access to them. Yes, I don't agree with how they handled Ghost and Ice in Gen 3 overall, because I feel like that could have been dealt with very much more easily. What am I talking about exactly? Well, in Generation 3 for the Hoenn region, Glacia and Phoebe are the specialists of Ghost and Ice. Phoebe is the Ghost Elite Four member. Her grandparents are those you meet on Mount Prior. They're the ones that keep over the orbs, the red orb and the blue orb. The ones that Team Aqua and Team Magma steal. Yeah, those are her grandparents that are watching over it. So Phoebe has, this knowledge and history with the spiritual world and stuff. What they did with Phoebe is they only gave her the 3 lines of ghost types that were featured in the game. Dusclops, who's the evolved form of Duskull, and Bayonet, who's the evolved form of Shepherd. Depending on which game that you played, your encounter rate would be completely different if you were trying to catch both variations of Ghost. If you're playing Ruby, your more encountered is Duskull. If you're playing Sapphire, it's a puppet. And if you're playing Omega Ruby, it's a puppet. If you're not Omega Ruby, if you're playing Emerald, you have more of a chance of finding Puppet and Bayonet than you would Duskull, and they just outright ignored Dusclops. So Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire did something similar, but their similarities to that was, we're going to give you both Pokemon, but we're going to do the whole situation we did with, what was it? Hold on, I'm going to switch this a bit. They did a switch up to it, where, hold on, I'm trying to play some Pokemon music. That's Digimon music. That's Sonic. Oh, you know what it is? Because I don't have Pokemon music in this lineup. Hold on. We're going to switch to the Pokemon stuff, since we're going to be talking about Pokemon for a good portion of this. Scroll down. There it is, PKM. Alright. Play off. So, Actually, we go to Viridian City. There you go. So, yeah, there was a lot of things with the Pokemon stuff that um, was changed on Mega Ruby after Sapphire. If you remember playing Generation 1, how you were able to find, depending on which game you had, you found red version more Caterpie than Weedle, and in blue was more Weedle than Caterpie. That's basically what the situation was over in that game. So you would find more Sapuppet in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire than you would um, Duskull, and then the vice versa for Alpha Sapphire. I'm sorry, I'm getting those two mixed up. Ruby was more Duskull than Bayonet. Than Suppet. Then Alpha Sapphire is more Suppet than Duskull. I should know this because I own the game. I own Alpha Sapphire, and I got to see more of that. I also got to get Sableye over Mawile. I didn't want Mawile, even though the change up to me was, damn, that kind of sucked. If you don't know, in Gen 6, one of the older generation Pokemon that got its typing changed was Mawile, the version exclusive for Ruby. Mawile was able to catch an Emerald, but it was later on in the game where you really didn't need Mawile. Well, maybe if... Well, you needed Dive in order to even get to the cave, and even at that point, Dark Steel, your only real thing you'd have to fight between Glacia Ice types is the Ghost types of Phoebe, and maybe it could have worked. I never tried Mawile as a late game Pokemon, to be honest with you, taking it to the Elite Four. But the point of it was is that, yeah, Generation 3 decided to change. Generation 6, when the introduction of Fairy type, they changed Mawile's typing. They went from Dark Steel to Steel Fairy, giving it one of the edges of the first Steel Fairy type Pokemon in the game, where it was one of the Pokemon in the series that changed its typing. It didn't get an additional typing, it just changed the typing. There's many Pokemon in the series that have changed it up into Gen 6 as well due to evolutions, where some evolutions even got a new typing upon their evolution, or got an additional typing because of their evolution. Like most of the Pokemon who evolved from stones, good example is Starmie, going from a Staryu who's pure water, and Shelter who was just pure water, and then both of them going into dual types, Ice and Water for Cloyster, and Psychic and Water for Starmie. So upon that whole situation, if you got Ruby version or Omega Ruby, you were getting Mawile. If you got Alpha Sapphire or Sapphire version, you were rocking out with Sableye. Dark Ghost type, had literally no weaknesses up until Gen 6, where Fairy was introduced and gave it a weakness. And then even then, most of the Pokemon that Sableye could help you deal with, it had a really good type matchup against. Generation 3, you were basically easy to curve stomp. Brawly, because none of his moves could touch you unless he used knockoff upon Generation 6. But I think it was Feint Attack that was added, because none of Brawly's fighting types had a move to counter Ghost. So Sableye was untouchable. Norman, because Ghost was immune to normal type moves, just like fighting is. So Norman's Pokemon at that point, you actually pretty much counter, but they do know Feint Attack, so that was kind of the thing too of the Achilles heel. So they can still hit you with some decent damage, but it was on the precipice of, oh, you're a Ghost type, I got to deal with that. So taking out Tata and Liza, because Psychic attacks don't do nothing to Ghost, and you can easily curve through that gym with the Sableye on its own, or an Absol. But you also have to remember that they are dual type rock, so they'll have access to stuff like Rock Slide. Sableye can learn, Soul Rock can learn Solar Beam and Flamethrower, and Lunatone can learn Ice Beam and Earthquake. Both of them can learn Earthquake. I know, the Meteorite Pokemon learning cover moves. Isn't that crazy? And then remember, in Emerald version, they have Axtute and Claydol. So Claydol being Psychic Ground, And then Axtute being flying, psychic and flying, so they have their moves set up as well. I think you could probably easily curse stalk them because Axtute's moveset is trash. It's really trash. Outside of Fly and maybe Air Cutter, what is that Pokemon really doing to you that it can't already do? Psychic moves, Ghost moves, Dark moves. And most of them are going to be hitting you for either neutral or no damage. Then you turn over and look at Claydol, who might give you more of a challenge. Claydol has access to Earthquake as Stab, dual screens to protect the team, Rock Slide, because why not? Rapid Spin to really screw you over. Even though it won't hit Sableye, there's still moves that, Claydol can have access to. So Claydol's Psychic won't hurt you, but Claydol can still hit you with Rock Slide and Earthquake as some covering moves. And I think they did teach it Earthquake. If not Earthquake, I think it was Rock Slide to cover those weaknesses there. So, and then going into Phoebe, because Phoebe goes, you just have to deal with her Sableye and what moves it knows. The Duskull and the Bayonets are not hard to run over. Then, if you're Mawile, Glalie would probably be your issue. No, none of your issues would be probably just up to the Warrain. Because Warrain being water. So you can easily take out the Celios, but they're part water. So really the only thing you'd have to worry about is just being hit with Surf, which would probably cause you more damage. So you take it or leave it. And then Steven, who most of his Pokemon do know Earthquake. So I wouldn't want to run my Wild into that either. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. And maybe, Sydney, but then I just remember Sydney's types are all dark. And some of them do know fighting type moves, because one of them do know Rock Smash. And then most of them are dual type. So, even if they don't hit the steel type for neutral damage, Sharpedo knows Surf. I believe Aerial Ace is on somebody. And somebody knows Rock Smash, and I think it's either, I think it's not Cacturne. Oh, it's, what's that Pokemon? The tree, Shift Tree knows Rock Smash, and I think Sharpedo also knows Rock Smash too. So, yeah, those are coverage moves, right? Right. So, yeah, Gen 3, don't sleep on it. There's a lot of things. And I forget why I even mentioned it. Creations. There we go. Because Creations, like I said, he did the video for it. And he talked about Glacier's really whack team. Which consists of 2 Frostlass, because Gen 6, and Walrein took the helms as the ace. Because then when you rematch her, it's Glalie now with the Glalie becoming Mega Glalie. Which, funny enough, does not have its hidden ability, which is Refrigerate, turning normal moves into ice type moves. And I think that would have been a good addition. So, he proposed the national dex entries for ice type. And unfortunately, there's only 3 other ice type lines that got introduced until the national dex itself opens up completely, which are Dugong, Beartick, and Delibird. And they all live in the Sheriff Code area. So, are they good picks? No. Game Freak could easily have done better. And especially considering why not add some of the ice types from Gen 1 and 2 into the game? Because Gen 2's ice types are what? Dugong, which is already there. Clayster, even though you're scarce on getting the Water Stone, which is just picking up blue shards. So I don't think that's too much of an issue there. And then turnaround, you have Jinx, which I think would be a good asset to the game. Because what is it with Jinx? Jinx is Psychic Ice, so it covers the fighting type weaknesses really well. Stab Psychic, Stab Ice Beam. So having Smoochins would actually be really good for her. You can have Smoochins maybe in the show code, or because Smoochins is a Psychic type, having some common areas near the cities. At least, because what is it? Abra's in Granite Cave near Buford. What can you put an ice type like Mauville. Maybe Mauville. Just because, that patches of grass right there already has just reoccurring Pokemon. So what is the other reoccurring Pokemon there? There are no other roots. Elenize and Volbeat? Alright, there you go. Since they're already version exclusive, or rare encounters because of their version exclusivity, just put Smoochums there. You can't put Smoochums near the ice, near the volcano. That's stupid. So, the Mount Chimney area wouldn't be a good idea. None of the desert area, because why are we having an ice type in the desert? And maybe Meteor Falls. Maybe Meteor Falls. Because it is a psychic type. Minnesota and Soul Rock, depending on which version of the game you get, is there as an encounter. So why not have Smoochums, who's there, levitating rocks and stuff, be an asset there. And plus, you already put Bagon, all the way in the back anyway. So maybe make it like a mid-stage, one of those things where hey, you got... No, actually, keep Smoochums in the front area. Or put Smoochums outside, in the back, where the Talos and Jigglypuffs are. Because unless you did some surfing over there, you would never know Jigglypuff was there. Or you went hunting for TMs and found out that Focus Punch was over there. Because Focus Punch was over there on the other side of, Meteor Falls. And actually, not to mention Meteor Falls, before you even get there, that would be a good area too. It's, across the bridge, and then you're here in this rocky area. Actually, no, that would be good for that. So never mind. No, yeah, either the other side where the ocean is, giving a Gen 3 type of situation, or put it right there in the Meteor Falls. I think it would be good. Or put it outside of Mauville to Verdant Turf Town. Just because the encounters there are just really low anyway. Because what other area could you do? The area between the desert and Mauville going to the north? No, you got that body of water right there, and all it really holds is Narrows and more Narrows. Oh, and that rare encounter of Ozma. Oh, and Goldie. Magikarp is used the old so no point in putting the water type there. And then the Trick House from Slateport to Mauville, really not any need to put in there because there's plenty of new Pokemon in there. Plus there's New Mauville, which is home to just the electric types that are in the game. Ironically enough, the one area where you put a majority of the electric types, you put the Electrodes, the Magnemites, the Magnetons, all there. Not to think of any of the other electric types, because what is it? The Electric and Magnetric are going to be wild encounters before you get to Fortune. And then there's Pikachu, who's in the Safari Zone. Which, still to this day, Watson's team could have been a lot better. Because you even put plus or minus on Watson's team and made him a double guy. I was like, alright, so. And I think Creation's just trying to put in the Beartic to save face. I think you could have easily did Walrein, Beartic, Dugong, Frostlass, and then Bloodman. And the reason why I added Dugong and not Delibird is because Delibird's moveset sucks. I'm not saying Dugong's is any better, because Ice Beam, Signal Beam, Scold or Surf, and then Hail, which, it's a little better than what? Present, Air Slash, Ice Beam, Fly, or Stone, depending on if you wanted to give it a water move to make coverage. But I'm sorry, I'd rather Dugong on the team than Delibird. And I thought Delibird was just a pop-up for Gen 3. There's also some stuff I heard too about Gen 3, that the order of gym leaders and Elite Four members was supposed to be different, and that they were going to try to put Glacia early, where Glacia could be accessible, but the problem would have been, where do you put an Ice type gym leader when the area that has all the Ice type Ice type Pokemon won't be found till you get to the mid game, towards the late game. Because when you do find out about Shelf Code, it's north of Mosty City. And then what's there? And you have to hope the water is down just for you to explore it to get the pearls. No, the salt. Because the pearls you can get when it's high tide. When it's low tide, it's the pearls, it's the salt you get. And then you go down to the ice area where you'll encounter snow runt, seal. Snow runt is the rare encounter. So it's Golbat, Zubat, common encounters. Spiel, the uncommon encounters. And then the two rare encounters are Celio and Snow Runt. So the two ice lines that you have in the game, you put all of them in one area. And then you don't even try to fit in someone else to the remix. And in my opinion, yeah, I do feel like they should have added more ice types from the other gens. Because, like I said, what are the ice types that you have from Generation 1 and 2 that can be easily put there? So yeah, Pilot Swine and Spiel. Pilot Swine and Snubble, who could be easily accessible. Sneasel, because that's ice. Then Delibird, because of course Delibird. Lapras Gen 1, Dugong Gen 1, Jinx Gen 1, Snoochums Gen 2, and who else was it? I said Cloyster. I'm trying to think was there any other ice types that Lorelei had on her team? No, because the other ones are all water Pokemon. So it was Dugong, Cloyster, Lapras, Jinx, and Slowbro. But Slowbro isn't an ice type. And they couldn't give her Articuno for all the obvious reasons right there. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense that they did just like, here you go, here's a water type. Because she was basically just Misty 2.0. But just the movesets were just really trash in Gen 1. Gen 3 fixed a couple of things, upping the stats and whatnot. But still, when the rematch happened, I think they took the Slowbro out, gave her a Pilot Swan, just to say, here, Ice type. And true, yeah, now she has a 14 Ice type Pokemon. But then here's Agatha, and there's like 2 generations now of Ghost type, and you're still having her rock, the Poison Ghost combo. Because they think they took away they took her Golbat out, and then gave her Mischievous. It's either Golbat or one of her Haunters, and they gave her Mischievous. So it was Haunter, Mischievous, Gengar, Arbok, and Golbat? Or I think Arbok and Venusaur. Because, yeah, they gave her a Venusaur. And in Pokemon Stadium, I remember they gave her Poison Pokemon Muck. Because they're like, Poison Specialist. But isn't she supposed to specialize in ghosts? And then remember, Generation 1, where they were supposed to make Marowak a ghost type. But they didn't. They went for just pure ground. And it wasn't until the remix of Yellow version where they did Let's Go Eevee Pikachu, where they gave her Alolan Marowak. And put Alolan Marowak on the team. Ghost Fire. So, it's still fire for me how that whole situation is still panned out. So it's like, if we're gonna do this, alright, just add some of the Gen 2 Pokemon. Just go ahead and give her goddamn Mischievous. So she at least have 4 ghosts on the team. So we don't care that much she has the other Haunter. But it's like, oh my god, she's the ghost specialist, and why have her team Poison? With no coverage. It's just as bad as looking at Gen 3, where you have Glacia and you have Phoebe, and they're just rocking the only 2 lines of the available Pokemon in the game. You don't even try post-game to fix the teams. Post-game, there are no fixes to their teams. Their teams are just the same. So it's only up to Omega Ruby Sapphire to fix that issue. But then, if you call that fixed by saying, okay, National Dex now, here's the new upgrade. Actually, no, National Dex did fix it. Because National Dex gave them a full team of 6, with 6 variations of Pokemon that were from different regions to add on to their teams. So, at least it gave Phoebe and Glacia additional Pokemon now. But I still feel it was a cop-out that even with the National Dex enhancement before the Elite Four, you still had a couple of ghosts you could have gave Phoebe Frillish is a really good Pokemon to give her. You could have gave her the Haunter or the Gengar. Even though, yeah, I know, the Haunter Gengar thing is kind of overjudged. You could have gave her, what was it, Driftwood and Miss Magius. They didn't have much time to shine, so bam, here you go, Miss Magius and Driftwood. Could have been easy swap out for one of her Dusclops and Baynet. So you would have had Dusclops. No, well, it's Dusknoir at that point now. So it would be easily Driftbloom, Sableye, Baynet, Dusclops, and Jetlesson. Just did bam. Here we go, Ghost Pokemon. Because I forget what the other ghosts were. I know one of them was Miss Magius. There was... Were there ghost types in Gen 6? Sorry, Gen 6. You kind of really just didn't stick out to me in terms of the Pokemon you had. Yes, Trevenant. Trevenant was there. I think it's Trevenant and Pumpkaboo. Or Gourgeist. I have a feeling I think it's Trevenant that was added. So maybe we're getting Alpha Sapphire, not Gourgeist. Although Gourgeist was a really good addition too. But those, like I said, there were some additional ghost types. It's just like they put them all in the national deck. And even then, they limited the national decks to you beat the Elite Four. So you really didn't have an encounter with a lot of Pokemon. Although, yes, Mega Evolution was a thing, and they did give you a Mega Stone and Mega Ring and all that situation. But still, I feel like it was still kind of a cop-out to how they could have easily handled that situation there. But, in that term of incident, in that term of situation, where's my other things to add to it? I think how Creation handled Sydney's team was great. Handling Drake's team was fine too. Adding some of the Dragon types, because Dark had the most with 12 new additions. Dragon has some new additions, including the fact that both Sydney and Drake share. Sydney and Drake had access to Hydreigon, since Hydreigon is both Dark and Dragon, which still would have been double weakness to fair. But I think it would have been still a cool thing to have one of them rock Hydreigon. But with the level situation, actually no, the level situation would be easy to deal with too, because they had the experience all, and they had Pokemon training rematches. So if you need to level up Dwellers to 64, you can easily. Rendering the post-game stuff, but you probably could have been able to evolve Hydreigon by that point, because none of Sydney's Pokemon were rocking any Fairy-type moves, and Drayden wasn't really trying to rock too many Dragon-type outs anyway, so dealing with everybody else would have just been easy fodder for Swellis, because Swellis is, what, Dark Dragon? So you could easily help sweep up Phoebe's team for some good experience. It may not have been much, but it still would be a good portion of experience still with her. So that's good. Then from there was the changes to our boy Steven. He just added Steelix over Aggron, which I don't hate Steelix, but I feel like that was just because his team's already great. I mean, it's Aggron, Cradilly, Almago, Skarmory, Metagross, and I forget what the other Pokemon was. Did Steven only rock 5 for the champion battle? Yeah, I think so. Sorry, it's been a minute, so I had not to care about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But I know at the end of it, his Metagross does become Mega Metagross. And I like the fact that he changed the team moveset for Metagross to make it more, of a challenge than what it was. So kudos to that. But yeah, the situation with Pokemon and how they do remakes is like, you could have made the remakes a little more better and given the Pokemon teams a little more boost. I know you tried to keep up with the whole, we don't want to change too many things because we don't want the Pokemon fans to cry. But they were already crying about things anyway. Because as much as I love the fact that we did get a remake of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl for Gen 4, Gen 4's remakes has issues all over the place. One thing I do enjoy is that they did have the rematches with the Gym Leaders. And a stronger team for Cynthia when you got to her. and even more of a stronger team the more you battle. I think the Elite Four also had to change their team lineup as well, which is good because they did add the Caverns and the Underground. So there was more access to Pokemon that you did not have access to in the original game. Which meant, yes, Flint could run a team of Fire-type Pokemon and they're actually really good. With stuff like Magmortar, Flareon, Houndoom, or is it Hound? Yeah, Houndoom. So he had a variety of fire types, not just the one Rapidash and one Infernape situation. Thank Christ. Because Bertha had a good selection of ground types. Lucius had a good selection of psychic types. And even Aaron, the bug specialist, had a good array of bug type Pokemon. Which, yeah, I think that was the first time bug type Pokemon were actually a main focus of the specialist for the Elite Four. Because really much so outside of that, I don't think there are really any major changes that needs to happen, except for Flint's team needed to change because it didn't have enough electric types. The issue that was had, of course, with, not Flint, Voltner. Voltner, the Sunny Shore City gym leader, needed more electric types. And I didn't care too much for Flint's team needing more fire types, but because of how Diamond and Pearl were, there were a lot of issues that needed to be fixed there, and I'm glad Platinum did try to fix that in both cases. There are also some other teams that were fixed too because of how their team lineups were. But adding additional Pokemon aren't bad, as long as they fit the team's aesthetic and fit the gym leader's aesthetic, it's fine. I think it's also funny enough too because they added Meditite to Candace's team in Gen 4. And for those who don't know, in Generation 3, Meditite was the only Pokemon in Hoenn that had access to the moves of Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. But if you were wanting to breed on those three attack moves, you have to have Medicham evolve, then go to the moving learner to relearn all three of the punch moves and for exchange of a heart scale. So that's these 3 heart scales. And then have Medicham breed so that the offspring would have the moves. So if you wanted Alakazam with Ice Punch or Fire Punch, then you have to breed with Medicham and then hope you get those moves. So actually, I think that would be really cool to have Alakazam. Because I even want to play Crystal again on my own, and I want to add Ice Punch and Fire Punch to Abra and Kadabra's moveset. Well, more so Alakazam's moveset. Because how I want to do it is have Alakazam with Psychic, Recover, Ice Punch, and Fire Punch. Why not Thunder Punch? Because I'll have an electric type running around anyway. And the thing about Gen 2 is that you need coverage for Steel and you need to deal with Dragon. Even though Lance is going to be the issue there because he has 3 Dragon Knights. Most people had just thrown an ice move like Ice Punch to help cover with it. And then with the Never Melt Ice being right there before you get to Claire, having Alakazam or Kadabra with Never Melt Ice and then being able to use Ice Punch definitely can sweep up her team up until you deal with Kingdra. But even then, Kingdra should not be a threat. Because if you have a good electric type, you can easily deal with Gyarados. And then the Dragonairs are going to easily fall to an Ice Punch. So it's really just Kingdra you have to deal with. Because every other gym leader in the Johto region is not too hard to deal with. Faulkner is flying type, so the rock type in Dark Cave or exchanging Bellsprout for Onyx isn't too bad. That Onyx can also be helpful for you against Buggy. Can withstand Whitney's team if it's a girl. Otherwise, go get the male Machamp from the trainer in the department store. By trading him an Abra, so catch 2 Abras. Take the other Abra to get you a preview for Machamp. Then it's Morty, which if you have a decent enough Pokemon, you can deal with Morty. I've always went with Morty after talking to Bill to go get Eevee, and then just training up Eevee so Eevee can evolve into Umbreon, at least. So you can have that Dark type to help you deal with Will and Sabrina later on. Because those are your only 2 chances of dealing with Psychic type Pokemon, ladies and gentlemen. And no, I mean that in both the sense of Gen 2 and the remake for Gen 4. Because spoilers, none of those that you talk to in those games have rematches for psychics, even though there are psychics all over the region. Both Johto and Cinder. Johto and Home. Kanto. You don't rematch any of the psychics. So if you want to get experience from battling psychic type Pokemon, you have to either battle Will in his rematch or Sabrina in her rematch. In Heart Gold Soul Silver. There's no other psychic types you run into unless you're dealing with maybe Blue and Alakazam, and then your rival with their Alakazam, that's it. And if you maybe didn't touch any of the sidekicks along the way, because there's not too many sidekicks in the game at that point either. There's the sidekicks that are on the routes going to Equity. There's a sidekick between Equity and Olivine, and then that's it. Because at that point, if you're looking for psychic types, you have Abra. There's the egg that has a chance of being Smoochum. And a shiny Smoochum with a 30% chance of being Smoochum. Shiny Smoochum? Shiny Jinx is something in there. And then, because you can't get Price. You can get Price from Jasmine if you leave Chuck. But the thing is that you still can't get past. You can't get to the Rocket stuff till you beat all 6 gym leaders, and then that's when you get the call about what's going on in Goldenrod. So even then, you still have to do the Goldenrod stuff to even get to the Ice Pack to get to gym. So yeah, the solutions are Kadabra or Drowsy. Pick your choice. Because you can't. Oh no, can you get X2? Yeah, but you need Surf. That's right. You need Surf, and you need to get the Surf from helping the girls, the dancers, the kimono systems. You can only get the Surf HM from the old man after you help the kimono girls and the rocket that was causing them trouble. I know in the original game for Crystal, it's beat all 5 of the kimono girls and then go get your, you talk to the old man and he gives you Surf. But he tells you that you can't use Surf until you beat Morty. Gym 4 gives you the access to Surf. So that you can surf over to Mahogany Town, which is to your east, or go to Olivine to your left and do the stuff in Olivine. So you have Jasmine tell you to go to Cinderwood to get the special medicine, which you need to surf past the World Island to get the Cinderwood, and then be able to do that. I know some people say it's Cinderwood. I just say Cinderwood, because, like the actual tree, Cinderwood. Because Cinderwood, Mahogany, Olivine, all those are trees. Trees and plants. Because Equity, I think it's supposed to be based off of another tree as well. Mahogany is a brown color, which most trees are based off of. Blackthorn, I think, is reference to another tree as well. And then New Bark, of course, bark is tree. Cherry Grove, cherry trees. Then Violet City, because violets are plants, and violet is a color, and I think indigo plants as well. Azalea trees. Goldenrod, because golden, there are, golden leaves, golden fall, that situation. And I love what they do at Equity City, because Equity City looks so pretty in the Game Field remix. Because they have that area where you're going to the tower, and the plants, the leaves are falling. It's so gorgeous. So yeah, there's a lot of that too. But yeah, like I said, it's just, I wanted to have Pokemon talk with you guys. I wanted to have Pokemon discussion. And I know it brings up to the fact that I had to talk about Brain Scratch. But hey, it happened. And then, I'm still playing my Pokemon too. If you guys haven't already gotten them, you have to the end of the month to get your Shiny Quartet for everyone playing the Generation 9 games and doing the 5-star tier raids, you're able to get Chen Pao, Chun Yu, Ting Wong, and Qiu. I'm sorry if I butchered the names and I forget the last one, but the Treasures of Ruin Pokemon are accessible now in their shiny forms, and you can get them via mystery gift by going online and getting it from the Poke Portal. You have up until the end of September to get it, and it's one per account. So if you have multiple accounts and you have multiple setups for your Pokemon game, which still to this day bothers everyone. Pokemon, why can't we have multiple save files in Pokemon? Come on now. Every other RPG in the universe has multiple save files. Why do you have to be the difficult? Anyway, so yeah, if you want your legendary Ruin Quartet, which is the first time we get a quartet of the legendary set. Not the actual main Pokemon, but the side legendaries. Because no, I don't count Regieleki and Regidraco. They are Pokemon from the Galar region that are only found in Galar. And you still need the other ones to even focus on that in Regidraco. Which, by the way, I've not gotten Regieleki or Regidraco. I've not gotten. I think the only Regis I have are the original Regigigas I got from Gen 4, and then my Gen 3 and Gen 4 might be. Did I get it with Gen 5 too? No, Gen 6. I did get the Regis there. Because when you have all three, Regirock, Regice, and Registeel, a dimensional ship portal will open in the sky. And I think it's above where Regice is. And you can encounter Regigigas in that room hole. Because that was supposed to be your introduction to Hoopa. And then those were supposed to be your introductions into Gen 7, where the warps where you can go through with Neolago or Solgaleo. Or Lunala or Solgaleo. Is it Lunala? Jesus, I forget the box that you're doing. Lunala or Solgaleo. And you can warp through the different dimensions, through the dimension shifts. Because it started, because Gen 6 had Hoopa, and the whole situation with Hoopa. So, you could battle against the legendaries and capture them through those portals up until the legendaries of Generation 6. But your legendaries were, had version exclusives too. One game had the legendary birds, the other one had the legendary beast. Once you collected those three, then you were able to access Ho-Oh or Lugia, depending on the game. And then Garantina, Palkia, but you have to move the other two to the other game to then have access to Garantina. And then that would give you access to Arceus. So that was another occurrence of Arceus. No, I think it was just the legendary, so I think Arceus was included. Reshiram and Zekrom for Chiron. Then, you're already playing Resident Evil after Sapphire. So Rayquaza was given to you through Delta series. And so was Deoxys. I'm trying to think, were there any other legendaries that were also... Oh, Mew and Mewtwo. I think they were version exclusives as well. No, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they weren't. Mewtwo was in Gen 6, you can just transfer over. Mew was a e-card. It was a card that you had to get from GameStop and stuff. Because that's how you got the Mysticals. I think for Gen 6 and Gen 7. I didn't get the Mysticals, all the mythical Pokemon. I missed Mew and I missed Celebi. But luckily they knew a Pokemon that I ended up already having. So I didn't have to worry about that. And let that be the last time they did that bullshit too. Because that was so fucking annoying. It really was. So, is there anything else that I wanted to add to my lineup of things before I go? Not really. Just that, yeah. It's just Pokemon conversation. I want to have Pokemon music to talk about that. Because, of course, I wanted to talk about the gym leaders in the Elite Four. Because, why not? Yeah, really not much, guys. I'm sorry. In terms of it, and maybe, because, Number 13 is always not a good number in certain cases. I just wanted to at least express how I felt about those certain things. So, I'm going to wrap up this video now, and then I need to upload the 12th podcast, and then I'll upload number 13. But I really do appreciate you guys watching and listening in on the podcast. It's been very nice. I haven't received much feedback, but that's why I said I was going to do it as a weekly thing. I just need to, let you guys know that I have the podcast up. So I'll probably post it on like Instagram and things and let you guys know there. But with that said, guys, that's pretty much it. That's going to wrap up today's podcast session number 13. I appreciate you guys so much for being around and helping me out with the support. I always appreciate it. I will get back to you guys on new content because I do have a couple of things that are in the wings. And like I said, I just cannot wait to show that off. So with that said and done, thank you guys so much for watching or listening, whichever one you're doing. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel as it helps out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed when I upload more content. Social media links are in the description box below. And don't worry, she's not going to hurt me. She's not going to hurt me. It's just her battle music. She's not going to appear the minute I open the door. Okay? We're going to be alright. Don't worry. I'll be okay. I have a good team to deal with Cynthia this time. Don't worry. It's not like Gen 5 and I got surprised going to Andela Town and I opened the door and there she is, Mother. So, with that said and done, I will catch you guys next time. HPJ signing out. Take care.